Right now at 5, a Canadian pipeline company says that cleanup is done in regards to an oil spill that happened in Kansas.
And we've got ourselves some mist, some drizzle, some fog out there, and then we've got a pretty cloudy, cool day. We'll talk about that forecast coming up.
And mail delivery for a street downtown in Springfield, Missouri is on pause.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's a bit just drizzly, misty. I heard one meteorologist years ago call it mizzle, I think.
Mizzle.
Yeah, because it's not actual fog. It's just mist and drizzle, and it's just kind of yucky outside right now. But we've gotten a lot of much-needed rainfall across the area. Again, we still need a lot more to try and recover from the drought that set up last summer, but at least we're getting rain. Here's a look at Skywatch Storm Tracker, and you can see where we've still got a few of those stray showers out there across the area. We're not dealing with anything too terribly crazy, and all of this is on its way out, and the rain will clear out for about a day and a half, and then we've got some more much needed rain chances a little later. However, we have received some heavy amounts of rain, which again, we need the rain, but we got a little too much in some places, so we have a flood warning for the Spring River around Carthage. It's set to crest at 12 feet, which is minor flooding. Then that runs until 10:25 this morning. Up until 1:30, we've got an aerial flood advisory for parts of Berry County and eastern Jasper and northeastern Newton County. And then we have an aerial flood warning till 10:45 for the northeastern portions of Berry County. So absolutely remember, turn around, don't drown. Where we've still got some of that mist and drizzle, we do have some reduced visibilities, primarily in southwest Missouri and extending into parts of southeast Kansas. So again, slow down, use your fog beams, be careful out there. You can see that mist and drizzle from the MoDOT camera at 32nd and range line and from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. So again, not all of that showing up on radar. Mist and drizzle, it's a little harder for the radar to pick up. So we've got 61 in Joplin right now, north-northwest breeze at about 6, visibility sitting right about 3 miles. We've got upper 50s, lower 60s, 57 Iola, 59 Parsons, 61 Chautauqua, Miami, and 63 in Neosho. As we get our morning started, we're going to have those isolated showers that drizzle, temperatures just hovering in the lower 60s under cloudy skies, and we'll stay cloudy through the day and cool. Our temperatures don't really move much as we get to the lower 60s, maybe some mid 60s out there. And this evening, the one plus, even though it's going to be a bit chilly, temperatures still aren't moving much. They only drop back down into the upper 50s and will stay mostly cloudy as the evening progresses. So maybe a few peaks of the moon and maybe even a couple of peaks of daylight today as well. We'll have more on that forecast and the rain chances coming up later this week here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. The driver of a stolen pickup crashes into a bridge support. Carthage authorities responded to reports of a crash at Central Avenue and I-49. They discovered an eastbound pickup truck had left the roadway to the right where it had ran into a support column of the I-49 northbound lane's overpass of Central Avenue. Carthage Fire spent about 20 minutes extracting the driver of the pickup. Once traffic resumed to normal and the pickup was towed, authorities discovered the pickup had to have been stolen. This is a developing story. You can find updates on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com as they become available. Canadian pipeline company says it has completed the recovery of an oil spilled into a Kansas creek in December. TC Energy says it continues to restore the shoreline of Mill Creek and adjacent areas near the Nebraska border affected by the spill of more than 500,000 gallons of crude oil from the Keystone Pipeline. It was the largest oil pipeline spill in the U.S. in 9 years and the largest leak on the 12-year-old Keystone Pipeline. The company said it expects to continue its work at the spill site until the third quarter of the year. The unemployment rate in Kansas is expected to decrease in 2024, with the state poised to add thousands of new jobs. That's according to a new employment forecast released by Wichita State University's Center for Economic Development and Business Research. Since 2020, employment rates have been on the rise. The center estimates an employment increase of 0.8% for the state in 2024. It also predicts GDP across all industries in the state to increase. The oil, mining, and natural gas industries in particular are expected to have significant growth. Joplin City Council rejects a proposal to ban sales of miniature shooter bottles of alcohol in the city. These bottles are commonly used for selling alcohol in quantities of 100 milliliters or less. Supporters of the proposal say the bottles contribute heavily to the city's litter problem, but opponents argued a ban would be unfair and would hurt the city's sales tax revenue. The council rejected the ordinance by a vote of 6-3. Mail delivery for one street in downtown Springfield, Missouri is on pause. The postman's motto is neither rain, nor snow, nor sleet, nor hail shall keep the postmen from their appointed rounds. But biscuits sure can. Elizabeth Mitri has more.
We did nothing to deserve this.
This quiet street on South Market Avenue has a big problem. The mailman is no longer delivering mail. Neighbors like Stavon Jackson haven't got anything in the mail for more than a month.
It's causing a problem because I had 2 bills that was behind, and I didn't know it because I was waiting on the letters to come in the mail.
I know that this is a huge inconvenience for people that do not have a car.
And my insurance company said that they was going to hold my meds until we got the situation solved.
The big reason the mail service will no longer deliver on the street is rather small, at least in size.
Vicious dog in our neighborhood.
Meet Biscuit. The postman here had a run-in with Biscuit a month ago. Neighbors say he's not a threat.
Somebody that obviously does not know Biscuit.
Neighbors say he's a sweet dog who loves scratches and barking.
The postman said that Biscuit was sick on him, so he pepper sprayed him.
This is something that is basically a city code that, animals need to be restrained and whatnot, but I think there was some overreaction on probably the part of the carrier.
Mark Inglet, a spokesperson for the USPS, spoke in general about their procedures.
Basically, our protocol is this: if there's a dog loose and there's any risk of a dog bite or injury to the carrier, we notify the owner.
Biscuit's owner, who declined an on-camera interview, said he did get a letter, but he didn't realize the whole street would be impacted. Neighbors just don't understand why the whole street is being punished because of this one small pooch.
Deliver right on next street, right here. We watch him deliver mail. He sits on the side of my house every lunch break, but he can't deliver my mail to my house.
For now, residents have to go to the post office to pick up mail, but some say that has been a problem too. They've been told a community mailbox will be installed on the street, but don't know when that will happen. Neighbors say postal officials told them they have to get permits for it first. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Galena and Frontenac softball take each other on in softball. We'll have who won on the diamond in sports. Plus, a fan is harassed by a guard and gets defended by the one and only Taylor Swift. And if you're trying to lose weight, we'll have why you should avoid the artificial sweeteners. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Well, yesterday was the opening day of the playoffs for Kansas high school softball. The Girard Trojans hit the field yesterday afternoon in the first round of their 3A regional bracket in Columbus. The Trojans are the 3 seed facing the 6 seed Caney Valley. Trojans down 3-0, but Aaron Anderson leads off the bottom of the first with a big home run out to center. Girard cuts the deficit 3-1. To the third, down just 1, Eleanor Reich sends it back up the middle. That brings Emmeline Sennecut home. Reich into second, game tied at 3. Then Trojans take their first lead later in the inning. Sam Brutchen, liner to left, runner scores. Bailey Troike right behind her. 2-run single for Brutchen makes it 5-3. Next inning, Emmeline Sennecut just fair and into the left. That scores Sarah Goebel. Double for Sennecut. Gets the Girard lead to 6-3. Just for good measure, Leah McGowan follows that up with a hard line drive to left. Sennecut in from second. McGowan takes her place with the double. Girard moves on to the regional semifinals, beating Caney Valley 9-5. And they play the winner of this one. Defending state champion Frontenac faces Galena. First inning, Annie Lee puts it back up the middle and into center field. Maddie Lugadici scores from second. RBI single for Lee. 4 runs in the first inning for Frontenac. In the circle, Avery Johnson, great start, strikeout there. She really shut Galena down all afternoon. Back to the bats, Abby Beeman sends a rocket into the grass in center. That brings Annie Lee home. 2 more for the Raiders in the second, pushes their lead to 6-0. Then in the third, Caitlin Hayslip sends one in the gap into right center. That gets down. Run scores. 3 runs in the third makes it 9-0 Frontenac. Then the weather delayed the game. They will resume this one this afternoon with the Raiders up 9-0 in the top of the fourth. Missouri Southern baseball team is back in the Division II National Tournament. The Lions have earned the number 2 seed in the Central Region in their first tournament appearance since 2019. Not only that, but they get to host the regional for the first time since 1992. Southern faces Arkansas Tech in their opener Thursday night. First pitch will be at 6 p.m. And this week is playoff week for the Pittsburgh High School girls soccer team. The Purple Dragons have earned the 7th seed in the 5A East bracket and will face DeSoto tonight in the regional semifinals. Pittsburgh heads into the postseason with an 8-5 overall record. It's the best record in the program's brief 3-year history. And it's been a quick rise for the Purple Dragons. They went from winless in year 1, getting their first win in year 2, to a winning record and hosting a regional match this year for the first time.
I think we've come a long way this season, and I think we're at the top of our game. We had a really strong start to the season, and we kind of tapered off a little bit, and we recovered from that, and they did it really well as a team together, and I think we're in the best spot to go forward.
I really think it's just the chemistry that we all have together, and it's great friendship and ability to talk to each other and work together. And just, we had a roadblock in the middle of the season, but we really came out stronger and better at the end, and heading into regionals, I think we're more than ready.
Still to come, Australia introduces some platypuses back into a park for the first time in 50 years. And we got another check of that forecast for you when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:17 on this Tuesday morning. Quick look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Got some heavier rain across parts of Barton County. Otherwise, we're getting a lot of drizzle, and that doesn't really show up too well on radar, but that is leading to some reduced visibilities in some areas. This activity, again, pushing on off to the east, and we will take a pause from the rain for about a day and a half before we see more rain move in, because we did get some heavy rain. Now, we've needed this rain. We need more rain, but some of us got a little too much rain. So we do have a flood warning for the Spring River around Carthage until 10:25. It's a flood stage is 10 feet, and it's expected to crest at 12, so only minor flooding expected. And we have an aerial flood advisory for parts of southeastern Jasper County, northeastern Newton County, and western Lawrence County. And then we've got an aerial flood warning until 10:45 for parts of Berry County. So do remember, turn around, don't drown. Especially this time of day, you can't tell how deep some of the water may be on those low water crossings. Again, the fog, drizzle, mist, all that leading to some reduced visibilities across parts of southwest Missouri and stretching into parts of southeast Kansas. And we can see the fog, mist, and drizzle here from the MoDOT camera at 32nd and range line. So visibilities, again, they're not too bad. They're slightly reduced, but you still want to take it easy out there. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. And from our camera at 7th and range line, 61 in Joplin, got that light shower activity out there. North-northwest breeze at 6 miles an hour. Temperatures around the region, 60 Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, 61 Chetopa, Miami, and 63 in Neosho. We get our day started. We'll have some of those light showers, some drizzle, cloudy skies hovering in the lower 60s. Temperatures don't move much today. We're only looking to make it to about 64. Cloudy skies. We stay cloudy heading into this evening, and we don't move much temperatures there either. Mostly cloudy in the upper 50s. And a quick look at the 7-day forecast. Wanted to show you tomorrow we start to warm up, partly cloudy near 80 by Thursday, and then more thunderstorm chances as we head into Thursday evening and throughout the day Friday, ahead of a cool but beautiful weekend. A video of Taylor Swift defending a concert goer in the middle of her set performing Bad Blood is going viral. It happened in Philadelphia over the weekend. The concert goer claims a security guard was harassing her group until Swift stepped in. Lynn Bai has the story.
Viral video shows Taylor Swift defending a fan during her concert in Philadelphia over the weekend while singing her hit Bad Blood. That fan was Kelly Inglis, a Baltimore County mom who teaches in Timonium. On TikTok, she claims a guard had been harassing her group all night until Swift stepped in.
He just kept telling us not to touch the rail, and like every time we did anything, he was like on top of us. We're dancing, we're having fun, and he didn't like it. And Taylor noticed.
Inglis says the guard was escorted out. Plus, they got free tickets to see Swift perform in Philly again. In another TikTok video, the devoted fan becomes emotional while thanking the superstar.
I have been a huge fan, Taylor, since I was 17 years old. Biggest Swiftie, and the fact that you did that for me last night and you stood up for me meant so much.
By the way, Inglis says the concert on May 13th was her 13th show, and all Swifties know Taylor's lucky number is 13.
Well, Swift heads to Massachusetts next weekend. The Eras Tour, Swift's first tour in 5 years, kicked off in Arizona in March. And that brings us to our question for you this morning. How many concerts have you been to? 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, or maybe more than that? Well, we want to hear from you. Make sure you take time to vote through our website, through our app, and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We will be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the World Health Organization says if you're trying to lose weight, do not rely on sugar substitutes. Sugar substitutes include natural extracts like stevia in synthetic varieties. In a recommendation based on a review of hundreds of studies, the WHO said non-sugar sweeteners do not help with weight control in the long term. The organization said its recommendation applies to all people except those with pre-existing diabetes. Signs urging everyone to mask up have largely disappeared from places like grocery stores and schools in the third year of the COVID-19 pandemic, but they are still worn in medical offices, and a study published Monday says it might be a good idea. Masks continue to offer some protection and reduces your risk of catching COVID-19 in a community setting like a doctor's office, according to the study. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves some fog, some mist, some drizzle out there. All of this clearing out for a cloudy and cool day. We'll take a look at that full forecast when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, a plan to improve child care access in Missouri fails to pass.
We've got some drizzle and some fog out there ahead of a cloudy and cool day. We'll talk about that forecast and additional rain.
And tick season is here. We'll have how you can protect yourself against them.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:28, coming up on it. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So a little bit drizzly, a little bit foggy, apparently a little hazy in our control room as well. Very foggy in there. It's an older building.
Sure.
Fog, mist, drizzle, animals get in here. Why not the fog? But in all seriousness, though, we do have some fog. We have received a lot of much-needed rain across the area. We still need a lot more, and we've got some more on the way. But first, let's take a look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker. We can see we've actually got some rain registering on the Skywatch Storm Tracker across parts of Barton County, and that'd be just to the east of Lamar where there's some heavier rain. The drizzle and that mist does not really pick up on the radar, but it picks up on the fog tracker, which we'll show you in just a moment. This activity will continue to push on off to the east and out of the area. We'll have a momentary pause in the rain, and then we'll see more. Some of us, though, got a little too much rain a little too quickly, so we do have a flood warning for the Spring River around Carthage until 10:25, expecting minor flooding, supposed to crest at 12 feet. An aerial flood warning here until 1:30, and then another aerial flood warning for parts of Berry County until 10:45. So remember, turn around, don't drown. Here's the mist and drizzle kind of picking up. Visibility in Pittsburgh is improving a bit, but Joplin, Carthage, Stockton, Nevada, Mount Vernon, still some low visibilities out there, so do be careful. Drist and mist and drizzle. drizzle, and all of these things combined make interesting words, and you can see that from the MoDOT camera at 32nd and Range Line, same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400, and from our camera at 7th and Range Line. Got 61 in Joplin, some light showers out there with that drizzle falling, northwest breeze at 7. Across the area, we have 57 in Iola, 59 in Neodesha, Chanute, Parson, Chetopa, 62 Miami, and 63 in Neosho. We get our morning started. It's a few isolated showers, some drizzle out there, cloudy skies hovering in the low 60s. Temperatures not moving much, so we only make it up to about 64. Cloudy through the day, and then mostly cloudy through tonight. Chilly, but temperatures not moving much as we drop back into the upper 50s for our overnight lows tonight. We do have some additional rain chances as we head into Thursday and Friday, and we'll talk about that in your full forecast in a few more minutes. Don?
All right, thanks, Chris. The heavy rains led to flooding in parts of the 4 states. This picture is from Garrison Avenue in Carthage, taken by the Chamber of Commerce. And then this picture is of a home near Grand Falls in Joplin. It shows a large rush of water coming through a yard. Kansas passes the omnibus budget into law. On Monday, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly signed the omnibus budget, which provides increased funding for higher education, local infrastructure, and student mental health programs in Kansas. The budget includes salary increases for state employees, investments in STEM workforce training, funding for local infrastructure projects, and $13.5 million for the mental health intervention pilot to expand access to behavioral health services for students. The budget also includes funding for services for elderly and disabled Kansans. Governor Kelly line item vetoed certain aspects of the bill. A plan to improve access to child care for thousands of Missouri families fell short during the legislative session. Even if you don't have a child, the child care crisis impacts everyone. It's one of the reasons for our worker shortage, and supporters say the tax credits would have given life support to our child care crisis. There was a contribution tax credit, employer-provided assistance tax credit, and a child care provider's tax credit on the table, but none of them were passed. Well, as the weather warms up, ticks are already making their presence known. A recent study in Missouri detected tick-borne diseases in about 21% of the gathered ticks. Ticks can carry several serious diseases with a number of debilitating symptoms. Experts say it's important to protect yourself while outside by using insect repellent, wearing long-sleeve shirts and long pants, and staying on walking paths.
They are most attracted to areas of high moisture, so that's going to be things like your armpits, your groin, your feet, because of socks trapping moisture in your shoes. So those are the first places to check when looking for ticks on you.
Experts also say it's important to treat your pets for ticks, as they can easily carry ticks and bring them indoors. Fort Scott Public Library is getting ready for its summer reading programs. The library will host its second annual Library Con event in June. It's a chance for families to hang out at the library, meet local authors, play some games, and even meet cosplayers dressed up as their favorite characters. Officials say events like these are a great way to keep kids engaged over the summer.
Helping kids to avoid the summer slide and to keep on track with their reading skills all throughout the summer. So in order to do that, we give them prizes. We also have a virtual program, so parents can sign their kids up online. They can log all their reading online, come pick up their prizes at the library.
The Library Con will be on June 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Diamond, Missouri School District's Special Education Department is selling off some surplus equipment. The items include foam play areas, swings, a ball pit, and a sensory stimulation kit. Bidding for the items will open on Wednesday at 3 p.m. with winners notified on Thursday. You can view the items in person at the school during regular business hours, or you can find a link to pictures of them on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, if you want the best steak in Kansas, look no further than Van's Steakhouse in Baxter Springs. At least that's according to the website Mashed. They compiled a list of the best steakhouse in every state. Van's Steakhouse was chosen for Kansas based on research on reviews, accolades, and recommendations from various sources. And the Kansas Department of Education is giving families a chance to explore different places and activities in the state this summer. Sunflower Summer app gives families free tickets to places like museums, zoos, historic landmarks, and more. You can access tickets through the app, plan your trips, and track where you visited. The program runs from May 26th through August 13th. Pretty cool. Well, the Pitt State president is using pedal power to raise funds and goodwill. Dan Shipp began his 12-day trip titled Dan Bikes Kansas. Some Frontenac students cheered him on as he passed through their community. Shipp and his caravan will stop in cities along the way and will host alumni, donors, potential students, and partners, including community college presidents and other fans at evening events. The goal is to meet guerrillas across the state and to secure funding for scholarships for students. Well, this morning we're discussing concerts.
Yeah, a viral video shows Taylor Swift defending a fan during her concert in Philadelphia over the weekend while singing her hit Bad Blood. That fan was Kelly Inglis, a Baltimore County mom who teaches in Timonium. On TikTok, she claims that guard had been harassing her group all night until Swift stepped in.
Inglis says the guard was escorted out, plus they got free tickets to see Swift perform in Philly again. In another TikTok video, the devoted fan becomes emotional while thanking the superstar. By the way, Inglis says the concert was on May 13th, and it was her 13th show. And all Swifties know Taylor's lucky number is 13.
And that brings us to our question for you this morning. How many concerts have you been to? I'm wondering how many of you have been to 13. So far, most of you have been through to 1 to 5, another 10% for 6 to 10, 20% of you have been to 11 to 15 concerts, another 10% of you have been to 20 or more. So make sure you take time to vote through our website, through our app, and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page.
I don't think I've been to 13, like, big concerts.
I've been
Come
to
close, though.
0.
Really?
I'm just kind of that lame.
Huh. Well, we're going to have to change that.
I mean, I don't know if you can count our in-studio performances as concerts, but no, I've
no,
not ever
I'm
really
talking
been to
like
one.
big on the stage, you're on the lawn, or, you know, at least 100 people or more.
Never really been to an authentic concert.
Yeah.
We'll have to bring one. We need a summer concert series on the morning show. That's what we need to do.
Well, I think we can make that happen.
See what we can do.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, we take you to where one president is buried, as one man's project is to ID the slaves buried there as well.
Plus, how one man in Ukraine is helping pets find new homes despite the country being war-torn. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back, but first there's a live look from downtown Joplin. Topping a World Watch, the State Department is warning of troubling trends regarding religious freedom around the world. Mike Emanuel has more.
When we promote religious freedom, we also promote freedom of expression.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken unveiling this year's International Religious Freedom Report, warning of troubling trends emerging in some global hotspots. Christians remaining under attack in many countries, including China, where a crackdown intensified this year. The department also sounding the alarm on attacks against Catholics in Nicaragua and Montenegro. And in Russia, church leaders who took part in resisting the invasion of Ukraine have faced arrest and imprisonment.
Brave people of faith in Russia who dare to speak against its brutal war against Ukraine are targeted for repression.
The report also highlighting the repression of religious movements that are tied into civil rights, including in Iran, where violent protests took place after the death of a young woman in the custody of morality police, and Burma, which has been heavily criticized for an ongoing repression of Muslims.
They criminalize religious expression and justify discrimination and harassment against members of minority religious groups or others who do not conform with the dictates of the approved theology.
The report also serving as a call to action, the State Department vowing to step up its engagement with religious minorities around the world.
We defend the right to believe or to not believe, not only because it's the right thing to do, but also because of the extraordinary good that people of faith can do in our societies.
Earlier this month, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom named North Korea as the country where Christians face the most severe repression. CIA officials posted a sickly produced cinematic recruitment video online Monday to recruit Russian spies. U.S. intelligence officials believe it is an unprecedented opportunity to convince Russians disaffected by the war in Ukraine and life in Russia to share their secrets. The push includes a new CIA channel on Telegram, social media network that is a popular source of unfiltered news in Russia. More than 8 years after ISIS fighters destroyed or damaged priceless artifact at the Mosul Cultural Museum in Iraq, a major effort is underway to try and restore the building and some of its pieces. The building and artifacts severely damaged, with some pieces missing altogether after ISIS looting. But since 2019, French restoration experts have been working with locals to give new life to centuries-old Assyrian antiquities. Now the project is in its second stage and will focus on renovating the building itself. If all goes to plan, the museum hopes to reopen to visitors by 2026. The platypus, one of Australia's most iconic animal species, is being reintroduced into the country's oldest national park. It's a major conservation effort to bring the species back to the Royal National Park in Sydney after the animal disappeared from the area nearly a half a century ago. The unique mammal, which has a bill, webbed feet, and lives primarily in water, faces threats from human habitat destruction and climate change. But this month, several platypuses were released in hopes of rebuilding the population. An animal shelter in Kharkiv, Ukraine, is helping us see the ongoing war through the eyes of the pets abandoned during the fighting. Jackie Ibanez takes a closer look at the rescue missions underway to save the injured dogs and cats and help them find forever homes.
A makeshift animal shelter filled with hundreds of dogs and cats is becoming an unlikely symbol of hope in the midst of war. As the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine continues now for more than a year. The onset of the deadly fighting, which started in February of last year, triggered millions of Ukrainian people to seek safety in neighboring countries. The humanitarian crisis has been turning these adorable pups and kittens into the latest faces of war, with hundreds of animals abandoned by their owners as they escape the country, or given up as their owners struggle to get enough food for themselves. Robert Sargisian is a former veterinarian worker and the founder of the Animals 911 Ukraine Charitable Foundation. He and his team have been housing more than 400 dogs and dozens of cats at this horse racing facility in Kharkiv. Many of the animals arrive injured from some of the hardest hit regions, with volunteers helping them recover as they work to find them a forever home.
Martina is from Izium. A mine exploded on her, but she also found a good house. She will go to France. Lucky will go to Germany. After he turned up with us, we put him on social networks. People responded.
Sargisian's foundation only takes in mutts and mixed breeds, citing how they usually have a harder time getting adopted compared to purebreds. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:47 on this Tuesday morning. Still got some heavy rain across parts of eastern Barton County. All of this eventually rolling out of here, but we're also still dealing with some light showers, I can't say the word now, drizzle and mist. I keep wanting to say never mind. It doesn't matter. The point is we do have some drizzle around the area that is causing some reduced visibilities. And while we got some much needed rain the last couple of days, we did get a little too much in some spots. We have a flood warning for the Spring River around Carthage, expected to crest at 12 feet, so that's minor flooding. And then we've got aerial flood warning till 1:30 in this green box, and in Barry County, another aerial flood warning until 10:45. So remember, turn around, don't drown. With the mist and drizzle, we still have some reduced visibilities from Pittsburgh to Carthage, back toward Joplin, Mount Vernon, Stockton, and Nevada. So do take it easy out there if you are traveling. You can see that mist and drizzle from the MoDOT camera at 32nd and Range Line, and from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh, and of course from our camera at 7th and Range Line. Still reporting some light showers out there in Joplin, 61 with a northwest breeze at 7 miles an hour, and our temperatures today will not do a lot of moving. We've got 60 in Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, 59 Chanute, Parsons, 63 Miami and Neosho, and 61 in Carthage. We've get our day started. A few isolated sprinkles out there, otherwise cloudy. You see temperatures not moving much in the lower 60s. Looking to push right around 64 today under cloudy skies. Could see a few peeks of the sun. If we do, that might help temperatures a little bit. And we got a chilly evening ahead of us. Mostly cloudy skies, dropping back into the upper 50s across the area. And then we look at the week ahead. We're going to be considerably warmer as we head into tomorrow. Near 80, partly cloudy skies, an opportunity to dry out, catch up on some things. We're at 80 Thursday, and then later in the day, say around 5, 6 o'clock, we're going to start to see some scattered thunderstorms out there. And we'll have scattered thunderstorms throughout the day Friday, and that keeps us a little cooler into the upper 60s again into Saturday. Sunday, upper or lower 70s, but look at that, a beautiful weekend out there. And as we look ahead, a great start to the next work week, partly cloudy skies, 80s and more much needed rain chances by next Wednesday and Thursday. That's Check Your Forecast. We'll be back with more after this, but first, here's another live look from downtown Joplin.
A project is underway to identify slaves who may be buried in unmarked graves on the family plot of a former U.S. president. Windy Hills, Kentucky, is the final resting place of the 12th U.S. president, Zachary Taylor. Now, historians want to find a way to mark and identify the graves of more than 50 slaves who may be buried nearby, as Alexis Matthew reports.
Within Zachary Taylor National Cemetery is a private plot where Taylor's family members are buried. Gary Mattingly manages the site and is a descendant of Taylor.
So this has kind of become my job very recently. I don't have a lot of experience managing a cemetery. That's not my day-to-day job. My day-to-day job is taking care of my kiddos.
The new role is posing new challenges while uncovering a dark and painful past.
There's just this sort of wrong hanging in the air of these people that are unmarked.
Mattingly says documentation from a family historian details that 52 slaves of the former president were possibly buried on a hill in the designated family plot between 1823 and 1850. Their graves are unmarked.
My initial reaction when I heard it the first time was that that's got to be one of those urban legends, honestly. It did not sound like something that was truly real.
The history of slave graves.
They would just be dumped in mass graves or unmarked graves.
And the treatment of Black people in life and death is real and raw.
What does it say about us and how we value Black life if we're not even marking where people who were once living now lie?
According to Simmons College history professor Dr. Jamar Tisby, only recently, following the racial reckoning of 2020, have steps been taken towards reparation.
Justice delayed is justice denied, but if we can take action now, then perhaps we can interrupt the cycle of injustice.
Mattingly is working to correct the historic wrong by properly identifying and memorializing the forgotten. One method commonly used is ground-penetrating radar, where underground areas are mapped using radar pulses. One company successfully discovering thousands of unmarked burial sites across the country with this is Omega Mapping Services.
Every one of those represents a gallon of tears that have been poured in the ground around that grave.
For Mattingly, the hope through this project is to finally honor those who have been dishonored.
If we can do whatever that they would want for closure so that their ancestors are properly respected, I feel like all the options should be on the table.
The project is in the beginning stages. Mattingly is calling on experts in the area for help. He's currently working with Roots 101 African American Museum, University of Louisville, and engineers from Cave Hill Cemetery. We'll be right back. It's a chance to own a place where everyone will know your name. The bar from the TV show Cheers is up for auction in Dallas, Texas. Now, the bar is broken into 3 sections. It includes the brass railing, the burgundy leatherette bar stools, and the back bar unit. And the bar contains some famous autographs from several cast members who carved their names into the wood. The auction for the Cheers bar is part of a larger sale of TV memorabilia. I have been looking for some bar stools. All right. This private jewelry collection is the most expensive to appear at auction after fetching roughly $196 million, but Jewish groups say the sale should not have taken place. The hundreds of gems are from the late Austrian billionaire Heidi Horton, who inherited about a third of her wealth from her first husband. Christie says Helmut Horton purchased Jewish businesses sold under duress during the Nazi era. And that has some activists calling the auction an insult to Holocaust survivors. Now, Christie says the history is public record and some of the proceeds will go to Holocaust research and education.
Well, we've got some of that fog and drizzle this morning for some of us. That'll start to clear out. A few sprinkles possible through the morning. Otherwise, cloudy temperatures not moving much, hanging out in the lower 60s, and they're not going to warm up much, maybe making it to about 64. We'll have those cloudy skies. Now, if we can see a few peaks of sun today, might help our temperatures out a little bit, but not anticipating much in terms of warming. However, the clouds also help us not get too cold tonight. We're going to be chilly, dropping back into the upper 50s, and again, temperatures are very slow to move. They just kind of hover around out there. Then we look into tomorrow, and it's going to be a much warmer day for us on Wednesday, near 80, partly cloudy skies. And then we have more storms coming Thursday evening, say around 5, 6 o'clock. We'll still be close to 80 when we cool down again. Friday, upper 60s. We've got some thunderstorm chances. A beautiful weekend and a great start to next week as we get into the 80s and more storms by Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be back with more right after this.
Right now at 6, shots fired. The Joplin City Council votes on whether or not to ban the sales of miniature shooter bottles.
And we've still got some mist and drizzle, a little bit of fog out there this morning. That's going to start to clear out, and we're going to be cloudy and cool. We'll talk about that in the forecast coming up.
And lawmakers in Missouri failed to improve access to child care for thousands in the Show Me State.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. Just after 6 o'clock on this Tuesday morning on that downhill run to Friday. Got some much needed rain over the weekend and into yesterday, which is great. Some of us, though, got a little too much rain. We're going to talk about that here in a second. We've still got a few showers hanging on out there across the area, but those are going to start to roll on off to the east. You can see now that heavier rain starting to exit slowly out of Barton County, and all this activity again pushing on out of here, and we're going to get a brief break from the rain before we see some more much needed rain chances toward the end of the week. But again, some areas getting a little too much rain. We've got a flood warning for the Spring River expected to crest at 12 feet, so that's minor flooding. And then we have an aerial flood advisory through 1:30 here and an aerial flood warning down here in Berry County until 10:45. So remember, turn around, don't drown. Now, those of us still getting some fog and mist and drizzle out there, got some reduced visibility still in Pittsburgh, Joplin, Carthage, Mount Vernon, Stockton, and Nevada. So do slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going. Looking at the MoDOT camera at 32nd and range line, not looking too bad, but again, pretty wet out there. And the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 has decided to not load right now, but that's all right. We've got our camera at 7th and range line. Cloudy, drizzly, just outside, 61 right now, northwest breeze at 8, and our temperatures today really are not going to move a lot. But I don't know if anybody else has been out yet and noticed it was a warm 62 this morning, and there's a difference between a warm and a cool 60-degree reading. 60 Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, 57 Iola, 59's Neodesha, Chanute, Parsons, Independence, Chatopa, 61 Miami, and 63 in Neosho. We get our day started, have a few sprinkles out there, otherwise cloudy, temperatures hovering in the lower 60s, and that's really where they're going to hover throughout the day, looking at a high right around maybe 64. Now, if we can get a little bit of sunshine, might warm up just a bit, but we're not anticipating much sunshine today. Mostly cloudy skies heading into the evening. Again, temperatures just kind of hovering out there back into the upper 50s. However, as we head into tomorrow, much warmer. We're going to push near 80 under partly cloudy skies. At 80 on Thursday, and then about 5, 6 o'clock, some thunderstorms start building in. Those will hold on through Friday, keeping us cool. Though once those clear out, we have a pretty decent weekend to get out there and mow the yard. And temperatures in the upper 60s and lower 70s. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. A plan to improve access to child care for thousands of Missouri families fell short during the legislative session. Even if you don't have a child, the child care crisis impacts everyone. It's one of the reasons for our worker shortage, and supporters say the tax credits would have given life support to our child care crisis if there was a contribution tax credit employer-provided assistance tax credit, and a child care provider's tax credit on the table, but none of them were passed. Joplin City Council rejects a proposal to ban sales of miniature shooter bottles of alcohol in the city. Now, these bottles are commonly used for selling alcohol in quantities of 100 milliliters or less. Supporters of the proposal say the bottles contribute heavily to the city's litter problem, but opponents argue the ban would be unfair and would hurt the city's sales tax revenue. The council rejected the ordinance by a vote of 6-3. Kansas passes the omnibus budget into law. On Monday, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly signed the omnibus budget, which provides increased funding for higher education, local infrastructure, and student mental health programs in Kansas. The budget includes salary increases for state employees, investments in STEM workforce training, funding for local infrastructure projects, and a $13.5 million for the mental health intervention pilot to expand access to behavioral health services for students. The budget also includes funding for services for elderly and disabled Kansans. Governor Kelly line item vetoed certain aspects of the bill. The unemployment rate in Kansas is expected to decrease in 2024, with the state poised to add thousands of new jobs, and that's according to a new employment forecast released by Wichita State University Center for Economic Development and Business Research. Since 2020, employment rates have been on the rise. The center estimates an employment increase of 0.8% for the state in 2024. It also predicts GDP across all industries in the state to increase. The oil, mining, and natural gas industries in particular are expected to have significant growth. A Canadian pipeline company says it has completed the recovery of oil spilled into a Kansas creek in December. TC Energy says it continues to restore the shoreline of Mill Creek and adjacent areas near the Nebraska border affected by the spill of more than 500,000 gallons of crude oil from the Keystone Pipeline. It was the largest oil pipeline spill in the U.S. in 9 years and the largest leak on the 12-year-old Keystone Pipeline. The company said it expects to continue its work at the spill site until the third quarter of this year. Well, this morning, the FBI is facing sharp criticism. A Department of Justice special counsel found the Bureau made critical errors in its investigation into possible links between Russia and the Trump 2016 campaign. Jared Hill has the latest this morning.
After nearly 4 years, special counsel John Durham is out with a new report saying the FBI lacked actual evidence when it launched a probe into then-candidate Trump's 2016 campaign. In the 300-page document, Durham writes, quote, "Senior FBI personnel displayed a serious lack of analytical rigor and relied too much on investigative leads provided or funded by Trump's political opponents." The FBI's original probe, known as Crossfire Hurricane, expanded based partially on a research dossier compiled by former British spy Christopher Steele. But Durham says he found investigators did not and could not corroborate any of the substantive allegations contained in the Steele reporting. That initial FBI investigation was the basis for special counsel Robert Mueller's probe. Mueller didn't find sufficient evidence of a criminal conspiracy between President Trump, his associates, and Russia. While Durham acknowledges the FBI was obligated to examine the Russia allegations, he's still critical of the Bureau's work. On social media, Trump posted, "The American public was scammed." Former FBI Assistant Director Robert Anderson.
It has been a big deal, and I hope that we have clarified all these things that have caused this problem. But in the end, I hope it never happens again.
Monday, the FBI released a statement saying its leadership has already implemented dozens of corrective actions that it says could have prevented missteps made in 2016. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Special counsel's report also says the FBI treated the Clinton and Trump campaigns differently. While the Bureau warned Clinton's team of possible interference in the 2016 election, they did not give the same warnings to the Trump campaign. And one of the recommendations from Durham's report is that a position should be created to handle politically sensitive investigations in the future. To be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, new hope for pancreatic cancer patients.
A new early detection program is giving hope to people at high risk for pancreatic cancer. I'm Bradley Blackburn with more on how it could help save lives.
Plus, an 18-year-old opens fire in a New Mexico neighborhood, killing 3 and wounding 9 others. We'll have the latest. And Chris returns with another look at your Tuesday forecast and when the 4 states can expect to dry out. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, more real news in the morning. We'll be right back. But first, here's another live look from Joplin. Topping Nation Watch this morning. In Indianapolis, father is under arrest following the shooting death of a 5-year-old boy on Friday night. 25-year-old Jabbar Scott is charged with neglect in causing the death of a dependent. Scott told police he left a 9mm pistol on the side of his couch when he went to the restroom. Scott said he heard a gunshot and found his 5-year-old son covered in blood and his 3-year-old standing in front of him. The arrest report shows that police confiscated the gun as well as the suspected cocaine and drug paraphernalia from the home. Authorities are investigating after 6 people were shot during a large gathering at an Indiana parking lot. Officials say someone opened fire as a large crowd gathered in Anderson early Sunday morning. Police believe an altercation happened before the shooting. They say one victim was found at the scene with an injury to their leg. They were taken to the hospital and was at last check in stable condition. According to police, 5 other victims checked themselves into the hospital with minor injuries and they were treated and released. The 225th mass shooting of the year happened Monday in New Mexico. At least 3 people are dead, 9 others wounded after an 18-year-old suspect opened fire in a neighborhood. Police have not yet given a motive or named the gunman. Danya Bacchus has the report.
We're shooting off about 50 shots, possibly still going on, possibly 1 patient still laying in the middle of the road.
Just before 11 a.m., police say an 18-year-old began shooting at people along the street in Farmington, New Mexico.
Officers responded to the area to find a chaotic scene where a male subject was actively firing upon individuals in that neighborhood.
Cell phone video appears to show the suspect pacing the area.
Be advised, this guy is right in front of the church. Copy, we have several down, 3 dead. I have eyes on the suspect. He's walking south. He's wearing all black. I'm told he's got an automatic weapon.
4 officers engaged the gunman. 2 of them were injured before killing him.
We have a officer down.
So I went outside to see what was going on, and then I just heard multiple rounds start going off.
Lacey Walraven lives nearby. She says shootings have happened before in the neighborhood.
Hurts that it keeps happening in the same area and again and again. I just hope it gets better here and people notice not to tote guns around and be violent. And use their words.
Several schools were locked down until police confirmed the shooter was a lone gunman and there was no longer a threat to the community. Danya Bacchus, CBS News.
Police have yet to identify any of the victims or their ages. Allies of former Vice President Mike Pence have reportedly launched a super PAC in support of his possible 2024 presidential run. It brings Pence one step closer to announcing a formal presidential bid and would pit him against his former boss, Donald Trump, for the GOP nomination. But the road to the Republican nomination will not be easy. Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has yet to formally announce a presidential run, are already dominating the campaign trail, and Pence's fractured relationship with Trump since he certified the 2020 election has turned some of Trump's base against Pence. That's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've still got some showers and some mist and some drizzle and a little bit of fog out there this morning. We'll tell you when these showers are going to clear out, when our next chance of rain comes in when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 6:17 on this Tuesday morning. Still got some light rain in parts of the area. We've still got some drizzle in other parts of the area, but that doesn't really show up well on the radar. The rest of this activity is moving on off to our east, and we will clear out at least from the rain today, but the cloud cover, not so much. Now, we've received a lot of much needed rain the last 2 or 3 days. We've got more on the way, but some of us, as we've mentioned earlier, have received a little too much rain. We do have a flood warning for the Spring River right around Carthage, expected to crest at 12 feet, so that puts it at minor flood stage. We've got an aerial flood advisory for parts of Jasper, Newton, and Lawrence counties until 1:30. By the way, that flood warning by Carthage runs till 10:25. And then until 10:45 this morning, we have an aerial flood warning for portions of Berry County. So the biggest thing we want to emphasize is turn around, don't drown. You never know for sure how deep the water may be on some of those low water crossings. Now, the mist, drizzle, and fog that we have this morning still causing some low visibility for Nevada, Stockton, Carthage, Joplin, Pittsburgh, Mount Vernon. So right along that I-44 corridor between Joplin and Springfield. So make sure you slow down, use your fog beams, give yourself time to get where you're going. As you can see from the MODOT camera 32nd and range line, activity's starting to let up a bit, and you can see visibility is actually looking pretty decent right now, and it will continue to improve through the morning. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. This little banner is kind of covering it, unfortunately, but you could see some of that fog and mist out there in the distance. So there's still some reduced visibilities, but it is improving. Here's a better view where you can see where that haze is out there. We got 61 in Joplin, cloudy skies, northwest breeze at 8 miles an hour. As we look at temperatures around the region, we're sitting in the upper 50s out in southeast Kansas, 58 Yates Center, 59s in Chanute, Neodesha, Sedan, Independence, Newata, Chatopa, and Parsons, 61 Veneta, Miami, and 63 Neosho and Monette. We get our day started. Again, a few sprinkles possible through the morning. Otherwise cloudy. Temperatures will not move much between today and even into tonight. We'll be hovering in the lower 60s for most of the morning and then eventually making it maybe right around 64. Now, if we can see a few peaks of sun, that will help our temperatures. If we don't, which we're not expecting to, it's going to be just kind of a dreary kind of day, almost like a March kind of day or a February kind of day out there, but a little bit warmer, thankfully. We'll again, hover right around the lower 60s, upper 50s for our overnight lows, and we'll start to see a little bit of clearing in the cloud cover, and then that'll continue to clear as we head into our Friday. We take a look way down the road. We want to head into Thursday evening, so about 5, 6 o'clock, we got showers and thunderstorms starting to roll into the area, and those will continue to build overnight and into Friday morning, and then we'll have scattered showers and thunderstorms through the majority of our Friday. So again, some more much-needed rain out there, and with all the cloud cover and rain, that's also going to keep our temperatures down. By the time we head into late Friday night, early Saturday morning, the rain moves on out, and that'll set the stage for a fairly decent weekend for us. So if you need to catch up on some yard work or anything else outdoors, that's going to be your best opportunity to do it. Near 80 tomorrow, so a big improvement temperature-wise, partly cloudy skies. We'll spend most of Thursday partly cloudy, increasing clouds later ahead of the storms, near 80 again, and then cooler Friday and into Saturday. Thunderstorm chances throughout the day Friday, upper 60s Saturday, lower 70s on Sunday, sunny skies. We kick off the next work week looking all right as well as we start to warm up under those partly cloudy skies. More much needed rain chances Wednesday and Thursday, and temperatures this time staying steady in the lower 80s. That's Check Your Forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch, don't ditch your mask just yet. Infectious disease experts at George Washington University School of Medicine and the National Institutes of Health say masking should continue in healthcare settings. The group cites real-world experience preventing COVID-19 transmission when patients and staffers are wearing masks. Their newly released commentary contradicts U.S. researchers recommending an end to universal masking. Even occasional cannabis use during the early stages of pregnancy can reduce a baby's birth weight. That's according to researchers at Central Michigan University, who found occasional cannabis use during the first trimester reduces birth weight significantly. And that continued use through pregnancy had an even more pronounced impact on newborns. A new study suggests severe hot flashes in women after menopause increases the risk for metabolic syndrome and high blood pressure. Researchers examined data from more than 800 healthy Greek women ages 40 to 65 who had recently gone through menopause. They found that those with moderate to severe hot flashes were more likely to develop the conditions and are strong candidates for hormone replacement therapy. Some 50,000 Americans die every year from pancreatic cancer, a disease that is often called a silent killer because it's detected too late. Now a simple blood test is giving doctors and high-risk patients a new weapon. Bradley Blackburn explains.
Gwen Goodman knows how deadly pancreatic cancer can be. In 2003, she lost her sister Lucille after a late-stage diagnosis.
We were called in a room and we were told that she did have it. And not 6 weeks later, she was gone.
Her brother also died from pancreatic cancer. That is why she is here at Hackensack University Medical Center.
I don't believe that that will be the end of my story, but I just thank God that the tool is there to find out.
The hospital launched a screening initiative for people at high risk using an imaging test and a newly approved blood test that can detect pancreatic cancer early. It tracks 9 biomarkers that signal an immune response to the disease.
It's not hyperbole to say it's a game changer. We have never had anything like this in pancreatic cancer.
While it has improved slightly, the 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer is still just 12% because it's hard to find early.
If it's caught early enough, it can be cured.
Gwen's blood test came back borderline, so Dr. Rosario Lagresti ordered an endoscopy to image her pancreas and a biopsy of a cyst.
This was benign. Again, very good news for you. More importantly, the rest of the pancreas to me looked normal.
She will continue with annual blood tests.
I'm hoping that it makes a difference, not just in my family, but in communities worldwide, because information is key.
Grateful for a powerful tool that gives her hope for the future. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, Hackensack, New Jersey.
Patients with early onset diabetes or who are BRCA2 carriers are also at higher risk for pancreatic cancer, and so are African Americans. Doctors say this blood test is currently just for high-risk groups, but it could eventually be part of routine screening. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
As you head out the door, still got some drizzle out there, a little bit of patchy fog. That'll turn into some isolated drizzle, light showers here and there this morning. Otherwise cloudy, temperatures hovering in the lower 60s. Not a lot of movement on the thermometer today as we're only looking to get about 64 under cloudy skies. Now, if anybody can see a few peaks of the sun, that'll certainly, of course, help our temperatures a little bit, but we're not expecting much sunshine today. We'll have mostly cloudy skies as we head overnight. And again, this isn't just me being lazy. This is just a fact. Temperatures really don't move a lot. We're going to drop back into the upper 50s for our overnight lows. However, tomorrow the thermometer will move as we make it about 77, partly cloudy skies, an opportunity to dry out a little bit, and then more of those much needed rain chances about 5, 6 o'clock Thursday, going into the evening overnight hours and throughout the day on Friday. 80 Thursday, cooler on Friday, as well as Saturday. And then Sunday, 74 sunny skies, and then back up near 80 by next Monday. So this weekend, if you got some yard work to do, anything outdoors, go ahead and get it done. It's going to be gorgeous. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6:30, first responders have to rescue the driver of a stolen pickup after it slams into a support column.
And we are starting to see some of that drizzle clear on out of here. Still a little bit of reduced visibility. We're going to be cloudy and cool today. More rain is on the way. We'll tell you when coming up.
And it may not be summertime yet, but that hasn't stopped the Fort Scott Public Library from kicking off its annual summer reading programs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now coming up on 6:31. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've had much needed rain over the last few days, which has been great. We're getting a little pause in the activity, and then we've got more of that much needed rain toward the end of the week. But unfortunately, some of us did get a little too much rain. And we do have some flood warnings out there we need to tell you about. We have a flood warning for Spring River around the Carthage area, expected to crest at 12 feet. So that's minor flood stage. That runs until 10:25. And we have a flood advisory for parts of of Jasper, Newton, and Lawrence counties that runs until 1:30. And then we have an aerial flood warning for parts of Berry County until 10:45. So do use caution in these areas, especially around those low crossing areas. We've had some drizzle, we've had some fog, and that doesn't really show up on radar, but it is picking up on the fog tracker. So we've got reduced visibilities: Pittsburgh, Miami, Joplin, Carthage, Mount Vernon, Stockton, Nevada, and right along that I-44 corridor from roughly Miami to Springfield. So if you're traveling this morning, do keep that in mind. MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line. Off in the distance, you can kind of see that haze, so visibility is improving. And same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. You can see that haze a little closer to the camera here, but still a little bit of fog out there. Temperatures around the region, or in Joplin right now, 61, cloudy, northwest breeze at 8. Around the area, not bad, 57 Iola, 59 Parsons, 61 Chatopa, Miami, and 62 in Neosho. We get our day started. We'll have some scattered sprinkles, mostly cloudy skies, temperatures hovering in the low 60s. They don't do a lot of moving today. We're only going to make to maybe 64 under cloudy skies, unless you can see a little bit of sunshine, but we're not anticipating any sunshine. And we're going to make it back down in the upper 50s tonight under mostly cloudy skies, and we'll stay dry. And I told you I'd tell you about the storm chances. Tomorrow looks great, partly cloudy near 80. 80 Thursday, most of the day dry, 5, 6 o'clock, some thunderstorms move in, and those continue as we head into Friday, so that cools us down. But more much needed rain chances there, and then a nice weekend ahead of us. Tanya?
Thanks, Chris. A pair of tractor trailers collide on I-44 and shut down a large section of the interstate. The crash happened at mile marker 14 at about 12:20 Tuesday morning. Now, one of the semis overturned and the other semi, a cattle hauler, jackknife across the highway. Responders requested MoDOT bring sand to cover some of the areas of the crash site covered in diesel fuel. No injuries were reported, and we'll have more details as this story develops on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. The driver of a stolen pickup crashes into a bridge support. Carthage authorities responded to reports of a crash at Central Avenue and I-49. They discovered an eastbound pickup truck had left the roadway to the right, where it had ran into a support column of the I-49 northbound lanes overpass of Central Avenue. Carthage Fire spent about 20 minutes extracting the driver of the pickup. Once traffic resumed to normal and the pickup towed, authorities discovered the pickup was stolen. And this is a developing story. You can find updates on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com as they become available. Firefighters in Joplin battle an early morning blaze. Reports came in of a structure fire on South Wall Avenue just after 12:15 this morning. Responders brought active flames under control in minutes, but the fire spread throughout the porch ceiling and into the eaves of the roof. Joplin Fire remained on scene until just after 2 a.m. The house appeared to be vacant as no one was located in or around the residence. The cause of the fire is under investigation. And heavy rains led to flooding in parts of the 4 states. And this picture is from Garrison Avenue in Carthage, taken by the Chamber of Commerce. And then this picture is of a home near Grand Falls in Joplin. It shows a large rush of water coming through a yard. Wow. Well, first grade students in Anderson, Missouri have been collecting pop tabs from aluminum cans all year long. And on Monday, they delivered their collection to the Ronald McDonald House of the 4 states. The class's teacher, Mrs. Bradley, has been having her students collect pop tabs for the Ronald McDonald House for several years. And this was the first year her class got a tour of the facility to see how it impacts families in need.
We had a family that came through Anderson Elementary that spent a lot of time here. And we made a cookbook and we started collecting tabs just as a way to help support that family after knowing that they were started Natalie's life here.
Ronald McDonald House officials say their recycling program has raised more than $35,000 since 1997. Fort Scott Public Library, is getting ready for its summer reading programs, and the library will host its second annual Library Con event in June. It's a chance for families to hang out at the library, meet local authors, play some games, and even meet cosplayers dressed up as their favorite characters. Officials say events like these are a great way to keep kids engaged over the summer.
Helping kids to avoid the summer slide and to keep on track with their reading skills all throughout the summer. So in order to do that, we give them prizes. Also have a virtual program so parents can sign their kids up online. They can log all their reading online, come pick up their prizes at the library.
The Library Con will be on June 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Well, this morning we're discussing concerts.
Yeah, a video of Taylor Swift defending a fan during a concert over the weekend just went viral. According to that fan, Baltimore County mom and teacher Kelly Inglis, a security guard had harassed her group all night until Tay-Tay stepped in.
That's what Chris calls her. According to Inglis, the guard was escorted out and they got free tickets to see Swift perform in Philly again. And by the way, Inglis says the concert was on May 13th, and of course it was her 13th show. All Swifties know Taylor's lucky number is, what, Chris?
13, according to this. I didn't know that. I'm not a Swiftie.
But you call her Tay-Tay.
I don't call, listen, that's what's on this screen here. Those were the words that were in front of me, and that's what I read.
That's Chris's.
It's like Ron Burgundy, you know, whatever's on that prompter, I will read.
Chris's name for Taylor is Tay-Tay. That's what he calls her.
Sure, absolutely. Why not? We'll go with that. Well, our question for you this morning is not what you call Taylor Swift, but more so how many concerts have you been to? And so far, 56% of you say you've been to 1 to 5, 22% in that 6 to 10, 11% for 11 to 15. None of you have been to 16 to 20. But 11% of you have been to 20 or more. So make sure you take time to vote, and you can do that through our website, our app, and take part in discussion on our Facebook page.
No, it makes me wonder what our classification of a concert is, because like to me it's like at least 100 people in attendance or something, but maybe just a small setting concert too would count. So
possibly.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never really been to a concert, so I have no frame of reference here.
There you go. Yeah. All right, well, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, credit card debt sits at a record $986 billion, and many Americans are paying high interest on that borrowed money. We've got tips from the experts on how to knock down that mountain of debt.
Plus, we've got some fog and drizzle out there. That's going to clear out, leaving us with cloudy skies and cooler weather. We'll take a look at that forecast when we come back. But first, another live look from downtown Joplin.
In Consumer Watch this morning, today President Biden is expected again to meet with 4 top congressional party leaders to continue discussions on raising the nation's debt ceiling. A person familiar with the discussion says extensive talks have been going on at the staff level since their first meeting on the issue last week, and that progress has been made despite House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's assertion yesterday that there was, quote, no movement. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has warned the nation could reach default as soon as June 1st if Congress does not act. Vice Media has filed for bankruptcy. The digital media startup that was once valued at nearly $6 billion was known for its provocative news coverage and documentaries aimed at younger generations. The company says it will continue to produce content and operate normally during the bankruptcy, though it recently shuttered its Vice World News operation, which led to over 100 job cuts. AAA says gas prices are down nearly $1 per gallon compared to a year ago. The average national price of diesel is also down over $1.50 per gallon compared to last year. That's good news, as millions of Americans are expected to hit the road for Memorial Day weekend later this month. And a new report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows Americans are carrying a record amount of debt, including credit card debt that's up 17% in the past year. Jared Hill explains.
Using plastic is more popular than ever. Credit card debt remains at a record $986 billion, and most Americans are paying high interest on that borrowed money.
Credit card interest rates are crazy high, even by standard credit card terms.
LendingTree's Matt Schultz says the average rate is about 21%, and the average balance is nearly $7,300. If you're making only minimum monthly payments, that would take almost 5 years to pay off.
I have a lot of debt. It's partially because I was irresponsible with my money and partially because I was never taught how to manage my money.
Earlier this year, we talked to Jamie Fellman, who racked up about $20,000 in debt and is documenting her attempt to pay it off. She increased her payments and created a budget.
On this side are my categories. On this side is how much I allocate each month.
She also transferred her balance to a new 0% card. Many companies try to attract new customers with a zero introductory rate that goes up to standard rates after about a year.
Another thing that people don't necessarily know that they can do is just call the credit card issuer and ask them to lower your rate.
A survey found 76% of people who asked for a lower interest rate on one of their cards got it.
What's been the hardest part along the way?
Learning how to have boundaries.
Those boundaries have helped Feldman cut her debt in half. She's hoping to pay it all off in less than a year. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, quick check of the Skywatch Storm Tracker. We got a few remaining showers on their way out. Still a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of fog out there, but we will start to lose the rain for today. We will not lose the clouds for today, though. And as we talked about, some of us got a little too much rain. Got that flood warning for the Spring River near Carthage, expected to crest at 12 feet, putting it at minor flood stage. An aerial flood advisory for parts of Jasper, Newton, and Lawrence counties until 1:30, and then an aerial flood warning in Berry County until 10:45, and that flood warning by the Spring River running until 10:25 this morning. We'll take another full look at your forecast in just a moment. We've also made it through Monday, and some pretty serious rains as we are showing you here, and that sounds like a great reason to celebrate some birthdays and anniversaries, and that party is just after the break. But first, we're going to check in on what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony Nicopol. Coming up on CBS Mornings, Nate's exclusive conversation with former President Barack Obama. They talked about a wide range of topics, including gun violence in America and the important work of the My Brother's Keeper Alliance. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
All right, time for some Tuesday birthdays here in the 4 states, and we are going to begin in Parsons with Kennedy Thompson, celebrating number 11. Happy birthday, Kennedy.
And staying in Parsons, Marlo Scott Adamson, celebrating birthday number 12 this year.
And we've got Adeline Norfelice in Joplin, celebrating number 16. It says, "We love you from your family." Happy birthday.
All right, and Mary Norfelice turning number 39 this year. Pretty cool there, sharing a birthday with her daughter Adeline. Both of them, of course, are in Joplin.
And we've got Karen Worley celebrating a birthday in Pittsburgh, and Karen also works at the Bryant Student Health Center at PSU. Happy birthday.
All right, Ron Kissel out in Thayer, Kansas. Happy birthday to you.
And we've got Larry Rogers celebrating number 80 down in Neosho. A very happy birthday to you, Larry.
And our very own Zach Wilson. See him for all your marketing needs here at KOAM. Happy birthday.
All right, what a fantastic list of birthdays, and this one had all pictures, but we want more pictures. We want photos, not Spider-Man, but of people celebrating birthdays and anniversaries. Tanya, where do they need to send them?
All right, and if your little one is dressed up as Spider-Man, that is perfectly all right if you send that in.
I think that makes it better.
Yeah, birthdays, or it doesn't have to be a little one. It could be an adult dressed up as Spider-Man. Why not? Birthdays with an S at KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, while you're on our website checking out the latest top stories, weather, and sports, make sure you take time to check out the KOAM Birthday Club. You get some special deals from local businesses. You also get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So head over to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for that birthday club today. All right, so we were talking about the flood situation. Wanted to recap it real quick. Flood warning for the Spring River near Carthage until 10:25. It's expected to crest at 12 feet, putting it at minor flood stage. Then we have an aerial flood advisory until 1:30 for parts of Jasper, Newton, and Lawrence counties. And then we have an aerial flood warning until 10:45 for parts of Berry County. So again, we got much needed rain, but some of us got a little too much. Some of that drizzle and fog, though, out there this morning, leading to some reduced visibilities down pretty low in Pittsburgh, Miami, Joplin, Carthage, Nevada, Stockton, and Mount Vernon. So I-49 and I-44, you need to slow down and take your time if you are traveling this morning. MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line. It's looking a lot better than it was earlier. Some of that fog and drizzle clearing out, but look back in the distance here from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. That fog kind of creeping in a bit on the camera there, so make sure you're just taking it easy. Very cloudy skies out there this morning, 61 in Joplin. Joplin. Northwest breeze at about 8 miles an hour. Temperatures around the region, not too bad. We got 60 Fort Scott, Nevada, 61 Lamar and Carthage, 59 in Pittsburgh, Parsons, Chanute, 61 Chetopa, Miami, and we're sitting at 62 in Neosho. We get our day started. Again, some drizzle, maybe an isolated shower or two, otherwise cloudy. Temperatures not moving much from where they are now. Are going to be just kind of hovering lower 60s, and that's going to be the case throughout most of the afternoon. Might make it to about 64. We're expecting cloudy skies through the day. There's the remote possibility you could see a little sunshine in some areas. If you do, you'll manage to get a little bit warmer than the rest of us. Cloudy skies hold on. We're mostly cloudy heading into the evening. Temperatures dropping back eventually into the upper 50s, so a bit of a chilly evening ahead of us, and then we've got more storm chances on the way. But as we showed you with those flood warnings, some of us do need a moment to kind of dry out a bit, and we'll get that opportunity tomorrow. We're going to be near 80, partly cloudy skies, and honestly, we're going to spend most of Thursday dry and warm. Some partly to mostly cloudy skies. They increase in the evening as we see thunderstorm chances increase by about 5, 6 o'clock. Those will go into the overnight and throughout the majority of the day on Friday. They'll be scattered, but we have those rain chances, and a little bit cooler back into the upper 60s through Saturday. Great weekend to get out there, catch up on some yard work, whatever you need to get done, especially Sunday. Sunny skies, lower 70s. And we start to warm up. We start the work week dry, pushing into the lower 80s, and then we stay in the lower 80s with additional rain chances coming in here Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Well, coming up when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14, we'll bring you the story of a man who spent over 30 years incarcerated in the Missouri prison system despite claims of innocence. Chris Dunn may finally have a shot at freedom after the City of St. Louis Circuit Attorney's Office filed a motion to vacate his life sentence. But the road to freedom for Dunn may not be so simple. It's a story of possible justice deferred and a race against the clock when the KOAM Morning News makes the switch over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Carthage authorities respond to reports of a crash at Central Avenue and I-49. They discovered a pickup truck had left the roadway to the right where it had ran into a support column of the I-49 northbound lanes overpass of Central Avenue. Carthage Fire spent about 20 minutes extracting the driver of the pickup. Once traffic resumed to normal and the pickup towed, authorities discovered the pickup was stolen. Joplin City Council rejects a proposal to ban sales of shooter bottles of alcohol in the city. Supporters of the proposal say the bottles contribute heavily to the city's litter problem, but opponents argue a ban would be unfair and would hurt the city's sales tax revenue. The council rejected the ordinance by a vote of 6-3. And Diamond, Missouri School District's Special Education Department is selling off some surplus equipment. The items include foam play areas, swings, a ball pit, and a sensory stimulation kit. Bidding for the items will open on Wednesday at 3 p.m. with winners notified on Thursday. Well, if you want the best steak in Kansas, look no further than Van's Steakhouse in Baxter Springs. At least that's according to the website Mashed. They compiled a list of the best steakhouse in every state. Van's Steakhouse was chosen for Kansas based on research on reviews, accolades, and recommendations from various sources. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
As you head out the door, it's going to be a bit on the cool side today. Cloudy as well. Temperatures hovering in the lower 60s. And as we look into the evening, we're dropping back into the upper 50s eventually. Mostly cloudy skies. We'll dry out tomorrow and be partly cloudy near 80. 80 on Thursday. Most of the day dry. Evening storms turn into all-day storms on Friday. A little cooler Friday and Saturday. Nice on Sunday and warmer by next Monday.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making tangy pickled eggs in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
All right, and your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. As part of the Wellness Week series, pop icon Jewel joins the show to share her mental health journey and her tips for practicing mindfulness. That's next on CBS Mornings.
I love Jewel. Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. In this morning, Charlene Patton from the Kansas Soybean Commission is bringing us a recipe for a soylicious Cub salad.
Plus, we've got information on an upcoming CPR event that you don't want to miss. But that's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
All right, and we're going to do it again today at noon.